Onion Cycles podcast is about thought provoking, emotion evoking, action driven, step by step guidance to explore the unique, glorious, and wonderful ocean of your being. Because healing is a multi layered process of getting to know oneself. Become the self empowered empiric researcher by discovering the unique layers of your existence. With your host, Nadine Alma, welcome to the Holistic Healing Hub. Welcome to the Onion Cycles podcast. Hello, my beloved onions, and a warm welcome to all of you. I hope you're doing well. I hope that you are enjoying life and the highs and lows and the growth that comes from it. I am very grateful that you decided to spend your time here with me in this beautiful, wonderful space of healing, dedicated to healing and knowing oneself. And today's episode is a very intimate one, very personal one. Even more so because I just came out of the very example that I want to share with you today. It is called the traffic lights paradigm. And having come out of one of those episodes quite recently myself, it is a heartfelt desire for me to share this with you and also get an insight in knowing if this resonates with you, if this is something that you go through in your own life. Feel free to share any experience you have to give. This enables all of us to learn and grow and have a new perspective on a similar challenge. And if you're new to this podcast, a warm welcome to you too. Be sure to check out my website www.wunderfinder.org for the download of the free worksheet that come with every single episode we do. This is a summary of what we talk about, and also it includes the action driven part of this podcast with weekly exercises for you to enhance the whole experience of healing. With that said, let's dive straight into it. What is the traffic lights paradigm? 3 stages of what I would call a pitfall. And obviously, it starts out with green lights, go, 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 go. Everything is aligned, everything is in flow, synchronicity happens, you feel balanced, you feel on top of the world, you're taking care of yourself with healthy habits and routines. To me personally, oftentimes it happens then that something affects this perfection. And I want to say that before I dive into the orange and the red light aspect of it all, because in my spiritual belief, it is an absolute blessing that this happens. We, as human beings, we are here to experience life to the fullest. And just because at some point we deemed some emotional reactions and moods as negative or something we don't want to go through doesn't mean that they are negative. I believe the duality of this world only enhances the power of a peak feeling, the power of happiness, if you are able to experience the lowest lows and the depths of emotions that we quote unquote call negative. These pitfalls have been happening to me all of my life, and there is definitely cycles that go with it. And the more I consciously and mindfully go through them, observe them, the more I feel like I come out a stronger human being and in depth knowledge of who I am, what my triggers are, and new shadows that come to the light that are transmuted, transformed through the process of experiencing these traffic lights. So, just a heads up, this is nothing that I would deem negative, and there is nothing wrong with the being in the red of the traffic lights. I do appreciate these phases of my life. So, with that said, we started at the green light. Everything is wonderful and beautiful. We all know this feeling. And then something happens. And I want to tie this to the experience I had most recently. But every one of us and each one of you out there listening, be sure to know that this can be everything and anything that is personal to you. To me, what makes the balance suddenly wobble is density, unfulfilled expectations, piling to do lists, and responsibilities defined as a have to versus I want to, or a should be versus what is. So that means that from a balanced state of thoughts, emotions, and actions aligned, suddenly I feel like time is running out. I should be someone else. I should do something else. I should be at an overall different place in my life. I sort of enter a mode of pressure and stress in the head. So it suddenly creeps in and the energy gets stuck in my head. So it all starts in the head, obviously. Whenever I feel restrained in managing my own time or being deprived of the freedom to organize my own time and flow with what feels right to me because life just happens, right? I suddenly get into my head. And that is when I feel myself sliding into the orange traffic light. And this traffic light represents to me the thought spiral, like the getting into your head, the end of a self made cycle hasn't been accomplished. Say the to do list for the day or the week or the month or even the year, something doesn't add up. So it's unfulfilled expectations or time density or something that doesn't work out the way I wanted to work out, or to do lists are piling up. So, with all of these duties and need to do's and have to do's, responsibilities and deadlines, I start to be in my head about constantly reorganizing. So the energy gets stuck in my head because I try to find the most effective way to get everything done. Because at this stage, my thoughts are not that it's too much and I need to let go of something. My thoughts are I have to live up to every single expectation I have on myself and on other things. So I just need to find the perfect way, and then everything will be fine again as soon as I find that most effective approach to make everything happen. Obviously, that eats up and costs a lot of energy because I'm constantly in my head trying to reprioritize and shift things around. This reorganizing and this stuckness of the energy in the head then transform itself very subtly into a negative self-talk. We approach the emotional part of it all because through the thought process of me just having to reorganize everything to make it work, but then realizing that I'm actually not able because there is no energy and there is just a have to, and my heart isn't there anymore, that then transforms itself into pure emotional spiral, emotional downward spiral, I'll call it. By this stage, we are in deep, deep orange, and it starts to be a restlessness, a circulating thoughts about inadequacy, not accomplishing enough, and never will reach the goals, the dreams. You'll never be blah 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 because you are not blah blah blah. You know those negative thoughts that bring up very deep emotions of the hurt and pain that we experienced throughout life that make up our belief systems about ourselves. Through this emotional spiral, we end up too exhausted to even continue thinking and too tired to take action. So the healthy habits that we had when we were in the green stage of the traffic lights paradigm completely go away. I'm not even able to keep up any form of journaling or meditation or yoga or anything I would consider a healthy habit of myself, whatever this is for you, because there's simply not enough energy, and quite frankly, I'm not worth it anyway. Like, why even care? So this is a very important stage in the process, because it sometimes happens that at this stage I can do a total U-turn. It sometimes happens that I'm so fed up with the ever returning cycle of these traffic lights that at this point I simply do not believe the voice in my head anymore. And this took a very, very long time. I say it took probably 6 or 7 years to get to the point where I actually realize that the energy is stuck and I'm not doing myself any favor or anyone else around me if I keep putting myself down, and I just want this to end. So at this stage, I sometimes am able to assemble myself again. Like, there is a possibility that I realize, look, this all is it's just in my head. It's the voice of my childhood, of a version of myself that I probably haven't quite healed yet. So just start now with one simple small thing. Take it very, very easy. Be very, very gentle with yourself. There is this small voice saying, well, but it is a new day. And you said yourself yesterday that you just take one little action, and then the rest of the day you can just slouch and be a sloth and feel sorry for yourself. So, in that moment, whatever your healthy habit practice is, you might be able to take a U turn by telling yourself that you're right now in this moment not subscribing to your old belief system. Sit down and do 10 minutes of what you consider in a green traffic light mode healthy. And I have discovered that most times, and if I say most, I mean probably 8 times out of 10, I then am able to get the energy flowing again. So that means I might not be back to full capacity, but that wasn't the goal to begin with. It is strenuous, and it takes a lot of work, I'd say, to not only identify the voice in your head that tells you you're not worthy enough of your efforts, and then actually take action to do something to make it out of this deep orange state. If you won't make it out, and here comes the red light, we have been in the bright orange light with our thoughts spiraling down, in the deep orange changing into our core emotions of what we think of ourselves, and now it's the action in the red traffic light. The energy in your system only lasts for the responsibilities that you have. Say you have a dog that needs to go for a walk. Your energy only lasts for that dog walk. Or you have a 9 to 5 job. Your energy only lasts to go to the office, do your hours, come home, and just feel dreadful afterwards. And this is a very hard stage, because as soon as the duties are done, your action requires to fill the void, the hollow, the restless abyss, to avoid the thoughts and feelings of discomfort. So now we are back in the food cravings, we are binge watching, binge entertaining ourselves to have our thoughts and feelings not go to the abyss of the emotional part of the red traffic lights. It is like I just want to give my brain some air, or I just rest my brain for a while, and you continue doom scrolling. So it's like the easiest way to avoid confronting our thoughts and emotions that were responsible to get us into that red light area, the reactions we have to filling the void, the hollowness, and the restless abyss is instant gratification. And our society is surrounded and based on instant gratifications these days. Like social media is an instant gratification, online shopping is an instant gratification, any form of entertainment to get your mind off your own problems and getting yourself out of any low mood is instant gratification. And it's much easier to consume than to actually look at yourself and ask yourself why you feel that dreadful. Or at least it is like that for me. But if you are there, you just either you have lots of sleep or you don't sleep at all, which then contributes to your energy levels and your mood and your health, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, everything is affected by you being in a low mood and avoiding at all costs and resisting to look at why you feel what you feel, where you feel it, and what it tells you about yourself. In that instant, when you lose all sense of self and you're basically sometimes even give up, like feel numb or worthless, apathetic, or pathetic to begin with, there are three things that at some point you have to do to get back on track. And those three things is one, a beloved person that understands you, that is having the right approach to what you need. Maybe it's being gentle with you, understanding, listening to you, being kind. Maybe it is just someone who gets you out of bed for a run for an hour, meets you at a coffee shop, has a nice small talk conversation that gets you out of your head and realize that there's a whole life going on around you. Like we talked about Sonder in the last episode. So this is an example, getting out of your head and realizing the world continues to turn itself and it's not revolving around you and your problems. And actually, you might just get out of this rut that you're in. You also have the opportunity to go back to what I said earlier at the crossroads in the deep orange spectrum, where it is the simple thing that you don't want to be this person. Like you assemble yourself and you start with a small action. You be gentle with yourself, you be compassionate with yourself, but you show your inner voice that you do care and that you are not the person you were before, that you have evolved and grown, and that you respect your time too much, your energy too much, and the time and energy of the people around you too much to let yourself slide and be unhappy because this life is too short and you want to have this change. And sometimes I feel like this isn't talked about enough because personally I made this discovery, if you want to call it, quite recently. I think a year ago is when I started to just give in to it. And it sounds strange, but the more I was fighting this feeling of impending doom that I'm worthless, not good enough, and sliding ever deeply into the red zone where it's all about giving up, I thought nothing anymore. I did nothing anymore. I felt nothing anymore. And this was sucking and draining me of my energy. So it was basically an accident. I just gave in because I didn't have the energy to fight anything anymore. And because I didn't fight anymore, there was no resistance. So I basically just lounged on the couch, consumed as much as I wanted, both in food and entertainment. And at some point, I felt pretty sick about myself and didn't want to be that person anymore, and ended up in that crossroads orange where you suddenly want to assemble yourself again and don't want to be that person anymore. I'm not quite sure why we as a society, or why I personally didn't come across this method before, like accepting that you are low on energy, accepting that something in your life happened that triggered this response where you just want and need time and space to waste, quote unquote, time and lounge around and not do much and not produce and not be creative and not create and not anything. So it was an accident, but acceptance, more or less, is my go-to solution nowadays. If I don't make the crossroads and assembling myself and I end up on the couch or in the bed denying myself the freedom to be a person that I can be proud of and that I love, and bathing myself in self loathing and thinking I'm not good enough, because it's way easier to do that than to just, yeah, assemble myself again. I sometimes just give in, accept it, and afterwards realized that what actually happened was I overdid it. I used up too much of my energy and I just needed to recharge. I didn't take self care seriously enough. With all of this in mind, the assemble yourself part, I want to emphasize something here, because in taking one small action and making one promise to yourself to get up onto your feet again, there are three ways how to make this happen. Because either way, it is hard enough to just say, all right, I'll commit. I be better. I do 10 minutes of my healthy habit right now just to make myself proud again and shut up that inner voice in my head that tells me I am nothing. And those three things I learned during a workshop I did with Tony Robbins. He says that first you need to change your physiology, because your mood and emotions are determined by how your body feels. The example of the superhero pose, where you stand up straight, shoulders back, and your feet hip width apart, and a very strong stance, it just makes you feel differently instantly. Like there is no, then time doesn't pass before you feel like you can actually achieve something. And you can have this pose, for example, to say to yourself, no, I want to be a different person, and this is the pose I take on when I want to be a different person. And this pose then evokes some emotions that then transport the thoughts into the right direction and shifts the mindset. And there's also the possibility to just put on dance music and dance and move your body, or go for a run, or go for a walk. Like put your body into movement so that you have a chance that your energy can flow again and you feel differently, so you can think differently. Then the second thing he says is that you need to change your language. To me personally, this is like a long-term thing too. Like change the way you talk to yourself, change the way you use words. For example, personally, I started to cut out cuss words completely from my vocabulary. I also started to intervene whenever my inner voice was starting to get cruel and very hurting in the phrases and words she would use to describe me, my behavior, and my worth. In a short term variation, this might just be to stand up in a hero's pose and say, I am not this person anymore, and then go for a walk or something. And then the third thing he says is a change of pattern, which is in that moment that you take that action for the first time very empowering. And if you continue to do so, this gets to be a new behavioral pattern in itself. You disrupting the normal course of action that you'd take in this example. Like normally you would just drown your sorrows into some sort of distraction, like food or entertainment or whatever, not feeling the feelings and not thinking the thoughts that got you there. But this time you say, no, I will interrupt this pattern right now and here. I will do something about it. I am not this person anymore. I want to be someone else. I want to live another life. I want to achieve my dreams. I want to do this, that, whatever. You get the gist of it, I think. So the three things: change the physiology, change the language, and change the pattern, interrupt the pattern. If you continue to do this, whenever your sensors realize that you're actually sliding down the downward spiral that we all go through, this might actually help you to make a U-turn and get back to having a more balanced life. However, I want to put something into parenthesis at this stage because, like I said, personally, in my experience, and everyone is different, it's your unique path. Getting to know yourself is the most important way, so be very aware of what your triggers are, what you need, and never stop to do trials and errors in your empiric self study. Never lose the curiosity to do this study on yourself, and also just take away what resonates with you, because this intuitive feeling will lead your way to a healthier way of dealing with these kinds of lows that we go through in life. So, in parentheses, just to emphasize, sometimes we just do too much. And sometimes it's not that we lose the track of who we want to be or what we want to achieve. Sometimes we just put too much pressure on ourselves, too much energy into sculpting our life, sculpting our dreams and goals, and taking the steps and actions to get there, and forget that with all the ordinary life, everyday life responsibilities, with all the things that go on a daily basis, we do a lot. So sometimes all of this really just happens because we haven't taken care of our energy levels, of our energy household. This is, like I said, an empiric self study. So, with all of this said, I thank you very, very much for investing your time into yourself and into this journey of healing. I do sincerely, genuinely hope that this story 5, the traffic lights paradigm, was some sort of epiphany or support, or even sparking some curiosity within you. I do this podcast because I want to be of service to people through my own stories in life. And if I can do anything to support you in any other way, if you have any suggestions as to how I can make my content better for you, how I can make my content more approachable, please let me know. Get in contact with me. Also, share your thoughts, share your journey if you resonate with this and feel like you want to do this. We are all in this together. We are all going through the same thing called life itself. It's brilliant, but there is a duality. And if we can show others that they are not alone, then I feel like we have a very successful life lived. I hope you see the sparkling, wonderful, beautiful, unique souls you are, and how you shine your light every single day, and how very needed your light is in this world. I am looking forward to seeing you on the next episode. And until then, I hope you enjoy the exercises for this week. Remember, the worksheet is available for the free download on my website, wonderfinder.org. And with that said, all the love from my heart to yours, my beloved onions.